let's make lemonade. Okay. Let's go to work.
Stop sucking!
That's the signal!
God.
Go, 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 go,
Drop
go!
it! Six! Stop!
It's beautiful!
Mother Nature just pissed her pants, dude!
Start your day with a jolt of energy and no-holds-barred opinions. This is The Rush, where Travis Justice and Ross Peterson bring you bold, unfiltered, and uncensored takes on sports, life, and everything in between. Buckle up and let's go.
People right now are going, what the hell? That is not the opening theme for the Rush Radio Show. And you might be correct, but we have a good reason. We'll explain that in a second. But welcome to the Rush Radio Show at therushradio.com. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube right now, give this channel a subscription. And then also give this video a like. Follow us on X at Rush Mornings. And, of course, like our Facebook page. And, you know, Ross Peterson, I'm going to have to add to this now because in my travel day yesterday, I didn't do much yesterday, but travel and get to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I'm sitting right now. But I took the time, after talking to you on the phone, to start an Instagram page. So, you know, The Rush is now on Instagram.
Look at us. Big timing.
It's just absolutely amazing. Huh. I promise you one thing. And I will go to my grave, and I will fight you tooth and nail in this. As a matter of fact, I would drive to Des Moines and beat the living crap out of you if you say, Trav, we need to be on the TikTok. Because I don't know how to do the TikTok thing.
I'm kidding. I won't do that. But you mean you'd come and try to kick the crap out of me?
No, I'm bigger than you. I'm a lot bigger than you, man.
Not anymore. Not much more. Not much bigger.
No, you're right. You're right.
I'm giving up all your advantage.
Yeah, because I have no lean muscle mass anymore. And I don't even know if I'm taller than you. Am I taller than you? Or are we about the same?
I feel like we're about the same height.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, I don't want to do the TikTok because I don't get the TikTok.
Okay. I won't push you on the TikTok.
Okay. Don't push me on the TikTok.
Is the TikTok, I'm assuming, not Chinese owned anymore, right? That's why the Trumpster let them come back on board because
they have 30 days to decide what they're going to do with TikTok.
So see, I'd still be a TikTok-averse anyway.
So that happened right before the inauguration. So on the 20th, so they're coming up on time on what they have to do with the TikTok. Or do people just forget about the TikTok? Like we go, whatever happened to that TikTok thing, and they just keep doing whatever they're doing.
Well, no, people aren't going to forget about it, Trav. I mean, it's going to if they take it away. If they take it away, people will, over time forget about it. But that would be. That the TikTok thing is one of those conspiracy theories that one of the first ones I was able to say to my kids, hey, remember when you guys told me I was crazy? Because when TikTok started, I saw something or heard something that said, hey, you don't want to do that TikTok thing. It's Chinese spyware. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm just gonna remember that and not do that. So every time the kid was like, hey, I want TikTok, I'm like, no, it's a Chinese spyware. He's like, Dad, you're a conspiracy theorist. And then, of course, I was like, hey, by the way, did you hear that the government's going to take away? Why? Because it's Chinese spyware.
Well, right after that, President Trump said, maybe the U.S. government will buy TikTok.
Yeah.
And then that is just your own country spying on you at that point, right? I mean, but everybody's like, why would you do that? What a bunch of waste. Oh, if when Meta, formerly Facebook, bought Instagram for $4 billion, you buy that because it can be a moneymaker. Now, I don't think the government should be in the social media world, but it's crazy what people will buy software and social media companies for and try to even monetize it even more. I'm not on TikTok. Are you on? Do you have a TikTok account?
No, I don't.
All right. So we can make reels and stories on Instagram and all that stuff. But if you want to follow us on Instagram, you can do that now at The Rush Radio Show. The Rush Radio Show is where you can find us. One other programming note, you'll know that if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on the stream, you probably think, God, Trav sounds a little different. Well, for the first time ever, the Rush Radio Show has gone remote, right? I mean, Ross is usually in his studio. I'm in my studio. Things are normal. I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico this morning. It's Santa Fe, New Mexico this morning.
I wonder, when you said Albuquerque earlier, I was like, all day yesterday, you're like, do you know the way to Santa Fe? And I always thought that song was San Jose.
Oh, it is. I changed the words.
You made me feel a lot better.
Yes, it
I
is
was in
San
the
Jose.
shower this morning questioning reality.
No,
I was in the shower this morning going, I swear to God, it was do you know the way to San Jose?
You were 100% correct. But see, I played with your mind because it's not a popular song anymore. Was that Dionne Warwick? Was that Captain and Tennille? Who sang The Way to San Jose?
We're going to find out. Do you know the Muffin Man? No. Way to Dionne Warwick.
Come on, that's pretty good. That's pulling
very,
that out
I mean,
right.
you know, you're old. Yeah, that's good. Very good. Very good.
A lot of people are wondering because I'm in my hotel room and people are like, is Anjanette in there? Well, between us kids, I'm in a suite, so it has doors that are shut.
My God. Look at my guy. Look at my guy.
So I am worried about
Here's
other
the thing.
people in the
show being
complex.
on the road like this and mobile and visual, we're gonna have so much fun when I go to Vegas.
Oh yes, yes. Because you can go anywhere in Vegas. You could probably go.
And we'll have like we'll have one of those. I'm sure. I mean, every year we go, we get one of those mega suites. It feels like you're in The Hangover.
Hell, I think a lot of those sports books, don't they have like their own podcast studios or radio studios where people come there and do their studios? You could probably go in there and go, hey,
Trust me. The hotel room will be more fun.
look at these guys just totally drunk.
Dude, the day that my boys came rolling in while we were on the show.
I remember that. I remember that.
My buddy was holding his pants together. He walked in like this. Hey, Ross. I was like, oh, shit.
What happened?
Down.
What happened?
My pants fell as I was chasing the girls that stole my money.
But he got his money back, right? Didn't he get his money back?
Yeah, he got his money back and ended up going back for like a lawsuit type deal.
And so she probably went to jail. He got his money back.
Yeah,
and it all
we'll
works
get
out.
we'll get all the details.
So the best way to communicate with us today is not going to be by phone, because one thing I could not bring with us was the phone system. Okay, so I don't have the phone system.
Okay.
So the chat is going to be the best way to communicate with us on YouTube, or if you're listening on Twitter. So just go ahead and put your questions, comments, and stuff in the chat. No phone calls today or Monday. And also you can always visit therushradio.com. So
did you see, speaking of comments, did you see Todd's comment he just shared down there?
No. Oh, okay. Dion is at Meskwaki tonight.
Dionne Warwick is at Meskwaki tonight for Valentine's Day?
That's super cool. Honey, what are you doing tonight? Do you want to see Dionne Warwick? Well, yeah, but where? Meskwaki Casino.
I mean, that would get it done for you, wouldn't it? On Valentine's Day? That's going to get it done.
Yeah.
Dionne Warwick?
How was she related to Whitney Houston? Was she the aunt of
No, I thought it was like
Houston?
godmother. Was she her actual aunt?
Okay. But there was some connection there between Dionne Warwick and Whitney Houston. Again, dating ourselves, there's a good faction of our listening audience right now who has no idea who Dionne Warwick is.
We have slight correction.
Or is.
We have slight correction, and I don't want everybody to get all excited. Dionne Warwick is not at Meskwaki Casino tonight. Tomorrow night, Saturday, February 15th, an 8 o'clock show at the Meskwaki Veterans Convention Center.
The day after Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Pete is listening down in Arizona. He says, thanks for bringing the rain to the Southwest, Trav. We need the rain so bad. So here's my travel day yesterday. So, and I've got a couple questions when it comes to traveling, right? I always seem to have a story to when we travel. We fly Southwest from Omaha to Dallas, Dallas to Albuquerque. we get on the plane in Dallas to go to Albuquerque. And, Ross, when you hear the pre-board, where those who need extra assistance, military personnel.
I see. Yeah. Pre-board. You're still up in the little
Yes.
What terminal thing? Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so, at Southwest, they let the A group go on, then the A list preferred, and then they say, hey, if you need extra assistance, if you're military personnel or a family with small children, you get to go on before the B group. When you hear the words families with small children, what would constitute the age group of small children? I'm just asking.
I know, and I'll play the game because I love playing this game with you. I think it's car seat. I think that once the child is no longer, once you don't have to carry the kid is maybe the way to say it.
Okay. Then you and I are kind of are very much on the same page. They board all the people with canes and wheelchairs. They board all the people who say they're in the military. If you serve, thank you for your service. Do I think you should get on a plane first? I don't know. Then they get all the kids, there's families with strollers. I get that. There's one family that had like 4 kids, like 4 and under, right? I'm okay with that. They're getting ready to board the B group, and I'm like, okay, here we go. We're going to get to sit together. And this teenage girl walks up and says, ma'am, and I'm not looking, and they go, hey, can we board in the in the family, or would we be considered family? And lady looks over and goes, sure. And I didn't see, so the teenage girl walks back over, gets her mom, and gets her brother, who's at least 9 or 10. He can walk on 2 uprights, and he's probably got a basic understanding of American history based on his 5th grade classes. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
I love it. Are we able to pre-board with the children? Can you name one of the presidents on the Mount Rushmore?
And so, knowing my wife and how she does not tolerate my sense of humor or I let it go, right? I was just like, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Right.
We sit down, and my wife goes, that was a bunch of crap, wasn't it? And I'm like, what? She goes, you see that kid walk on in the family board? I'm like, I'm glad you noticed it because I wanted to say something. I really wanted to say something. But it was just, I mean, if you're that desperate, and what it came down to, as you try to decipher it, they were in the C group. I'm sure as the family, they wanted to sit together. That was probably going to be the only way they got 3 seats together.
Yeah.
So they just went ahead and said, put the puppy dog eyes on and said, we're a small family. we're a small family. Can we get on before everybody else? I know it's a little thing.
I love you so much, dude. I love every word of what you just did is why I love Travis Justice. All of it. Those who said they were in the military.
Jason goes, because there's no proof. Now, if you're in uniform and you're carrying the backpack, that's fine, right? I mean, I know you're in the military. They don't even check. They don't go, hey, can I see your military ID? It's just some dude walking. I'm like, what branch? I don't think I'm being unrealistic here.
Oh, man. Oh, Travis, I love it.
I mean, if you're out now, sorry, you're a civilian. You're like me. C5.
You were in the military? Yeah. What branch? I'm a National Guard. Yeah, you got to go back.
I wonder if because there's some are serving full time, but some of them are weekend guys.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm a military man. Really, which branch? I'm in the Space Force. Sure, pal. Sure. Okay.
Jason goes, your lack of empathy. I know. I don't have any.
It's incredible.
I don't have much.
Okay, first of all, I got a couple things I want to throw in here, but I want to let you cook because this is good. I love that you showed the grace. I love that you were the one before Anjanette had to say to you, like, hey, you thought to yourself, you know what? Maybe that's grace to say, wait a minute. And empathy, quite frankly, to put yourself in those shoes for just a moment and go, they're a family. They wanted to sit together. If they wait, they're going to have to split up. They got a 9-year-old. Okay. All right. Yeah. It's like when you're driving down the interstate and some guy is flying through traffic and your first thought is like, asshole. And then I have that second thought of like, I've been that asshole. I've been the guy that's either having a horrible bad day and just taking it out on the pedal, or I'm racing to some emergency that's a family thing. Hopefully, whatever's going on in that person's life, that you flip that page. So I'm glad you did that. Can I, like, again, maybe this is my contrarian thing. Maybe you can explain it to me and it'll make sense.
Okay.
I do a lot of flying where I'm by myself, and maybe that's the first filter that I need to go through here. Maybe that's why I have the feeling I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
I want to be the last person on the plane.
Really?
Dude, you're going to... Being in the front of the plane and being in the back of the plane, unless it's a first class and business class situation, you're not talking about that long of a couple of minutes from the time the plane lands until you're off the plane. But boarding, that can take a long time. And you can sit there for a long time on that plane. And I've never understood the rush to be the first one to get in there and sit down in my plane and buckle up my seatbelt. And then you're the one that has to sit there.
Let me tell you why you went on first.
Okay.
Okay, the reason you went on first, and I appreciate you if you're traveling alone. The reason you went on first, I would say most people want a window seat or an aisle seat. That's not what I'm going to say. I think the reason people went on first is so they get guaranteed that their overhead baggage is going to find a place in the bin.
Now, okay, you've thrown there's a few things in there too, right? First of all, what I'm generally talking about there are assigned seat planes. What is the one that does the first come, first serve? Is that American or?
And Southwest still does.
Southwest, okay. Yeah.
I always thought Southwest was, they made the announcement they were going to go to assigned seatings. They haven't done it yet. They have not done it yet. So you're still A group, B group, C group. So that is a first come, first serve. If you like log on and you're like C35, I feel sorry for you because you're in a middle seat and you may not have overhead bin space if your flights are full. And both of my flights were packed yesterday. I mean, absolutely packed.
So that's the if you've got a bag that you need to get on there and you can't stuff it under your seat. I understand that as well, but this thing of like my broker Mark Charter, who's become one of my best friends, love Mark dearly,
and a regular listener to the show now.
Because he can listen to. Dude, I've had a lot of people tell me that exactly what Mark did. Like, dude, I'm just not a 6 a.m. riser, and watching the show from the beginning was really difficult. Now I love the on-demand part of it. He'll probably hear this later because once he hears us talking about Vegas, he's glued. But yeah, I remember where I was going with that with Mark. But thanks for listening, Mark. Mark would pay. Well, Mark is the guy that would pay for, like the very first. He wants A1. He wants to be the first guy on the plane, and I think that it's for all of those reasons that he's usually flying in one where you have to do it's first come first serve. He has a specific seat he wants to sit in.
The other thing that happened to me while I was traveling yesterday, where I have zero empathy, guys getting on in Omaha. Ross, when you board a plane, how many bags can you have?
Usually, I think you're allowed 2.
One that fits under the seat
And one above. But again, this goes back to the kid rule to me. The 2 bags are meant for women. The 2-bag rule is meant for women. Guys abuse it. Guys are abusing it. Here you go. Here we go. I knew it.
No,
I knew it. I could tell. I could smell it. You're one of those bag abusers.
I had 2 bags. I had a small carry-on. We checked 1 bag. My wife and I both had like duffel bags.
You had a Merce then.
And I had a backpack, which fit perfectly under the seat. So to me, I was within rule. Yesterday, we're boarding in Omaha. Guy has a not a large, but a regular size suitcase on rollers that would go in the overhead bin. He had a pretty good size backpack, but then he had an oversized shopping bag. You know those paper ones with like the that has like the drawstrings?
Like the Aldi. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And they're like, sir, that's you got 3 bags. You're gonna have to check one. And he was in the A group. He's like, what do you mean? She goes, you only get two bags. One that goes under the seat, one that goes up above. She goes, we got a full flight. You're gonna go have to check a bag. And he threw a fit. And then they're like, we're sorry, you're going to have to go check the bag. So he went from like A20 to like having to go check a bag and being the last one on the plane and having to check one of his bags. But I didn't feel sorry for him because I'm like, you know the rules. And sometimes you get away with the 3 if it's kind of a smaller one. It was a really large shopping bag. I don't want your presence up in the overhead bin. I could care less about your presence. You're taking up space for somebody else. So,
do you have any tricks to like, if you get on a plane, you know it's not full, and you get on, you're like, I really want this seat to be empty next to me. I've seen things on the internet where people like will take their hoodie, put their hand inside their hoodie, and make it look like somebody's asleep next to them.
I don't have any tricks like that. I've never seen that.
I wear a mask and cough.
I don't have COVID.
And just have that general sick demeanor that I carry with me about 95% of the time. I kind of get very sheepish. I go.
You're just saying, don't sit next to me.
Yeah, scream
Don't sit
it.
next to me. So I get to Santa Fe at 7 o'clock Santa Fe time. It is 8 o'clock Iowa time. I get to Albuquerque. We rent the car. We drive to Santa Fe. It's about an hour and 15 minutes. Okay? So we get to Santa Fe around 8:30 Santa Fe time, which is 9:30 your time. I set the studio up because I'm kind of – Anjanette could see that I was getting a little worried. I wanted to make sure that everything worked. So we get that set up. And then about 9 o'clock, we go eat at Chipotle, right? So we go to Chipotle.
To what?
Chipotle? How do you say it?
Wait, you're switching some letters around on me there.
I am?
It's Chipotle.
Chipotle? What did I say? Chipotle? What did I say?
Say it again.
Chipotle.
Chipotle. Why are you making me? Now you're making me second guess it.
I don't know.
It's Chipotle.
I order a burrito bowl
from that place.
And I order chips and queso.
Okay.
For my wife and I to split. I'm like, you know what? I'm on vacation. I'm going to have some carbs. Sorry, we're out of chips today. And I'm like, excuse me? Yeah, we're out of chips. But she had the queso there. She goes, you want the queso, right? I go, what? Are you charging me for the queso? Well, yeah, because you ordered chips and queso. Yeah, chips and queso. How do you run out of chips at Chipotle? Or Chipotle? How do you run out of chips? So then we eat. It's about 9:30, 10:30 your time. I hop back in the car, and I drive an hour and 15 minutes back to Albuquerque to pick up Pat and his wife, and then I drive another hour and 15 minutes back to Santa Fe. I got back to Santa Fe at 12:15 Santa Fe time, 1:15 your time.
Dude, that makes because remember when we first connected this morning about 5:30 or so, I said, "Man, are you all right?" And you're like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" I go, "You just look like you're not feeling well or something." Now it explains it because you're running on about 4 hours of sleep.
3 hours sleep. 3 hours sleep.
Oh, dude.
But it's worth it. It's worth it. Oh, and by the way, we left to get rid of the snow and the cold, right? It's snowing here.
It is Chipotle.
Chipotle. Dusty says, guy goes to New Mexico and eats at a chain. What the hell?
Dude,
First of all,
thank you, Dusty.
Okay, consider the situation. We didn't get here till like 9
Good
o'clock at
point.
night.
Okay, yeah. You got to go you're only going to be able to go to a place that has a drive-through.
Yes. And I had to drive back to Albuquerque. So it wasn't like I had a lot of time on my hands.
And Dusty, I will tell you, I know from experience that that's not Travis. Travis likes the local flair. He will usually find something that is
Yeah, we went
unique.
to a place called Maria's. You know, I mean, you're in New Mexico, you go to Maria's, it's a Mexican restaurant, right? Well, it's 9 o'clock. It's closed on a Thursday. They're not open.
Yeah,
we tried to go local first.
We'll give you that break. But I do think that was a
valid
to
point.
Me, Trav, have you ever done anything like been on vacation and gone to a movie?
Yes.
Why? Why?
Matter of fact, I saw Avatar with Pat and Amy, because we travel a lot together, in Chicago. We were like, hey, let's go to a different theater just to see what a theater is like in a different city. And so now we happened to pick Avatar, which was like a 3-hour movie, and you're like, why did we take 3 hours out of our Chicago trip to go to a movie? But it was just one of those things, hey, let's go see a movie.
Yeah, okay. Seeing the theater, I guess. All right.
But you know what a theater
this
looks like? Every other theater out there.
Right.
There's not a big difference between a Des
This one
Moines
has
theater
popcorn.
and a Chicago theater.
In Chicago, they do this thing called Chicago-style popcorn where they put butter. They got liquid butter, and they put butter on it, and then they put more popcorn in. It's called Chicago-style popcorn.
And added some cheese and caramel popcorn to it.
Yeah, they got this stuff they pour on it. What's that stuff they put on top of it? Salt. Salt. They put salt. Yeah, Chicago. Nick, when you go to the theater, just order Chicago-style popcorn.
And have them look at you like, what? What? Chicago-style popcorn. So that's where we're at, right? I mean, it's been a long 24 hours, but we're up and at 'em. We're doing it. We're here till 8 o'clock.
And I will tell you, in this last hour, you look like a totally different. Like when it first came on, I was like, ooh, you're either not feeling good or something bad happened. You kind of had that look of like, oh, something ain't right. It makes sense. Your look is, I'm working on 3 hours of sleep here, and I'm happy we're on the air.
Yeah, that's the big thing. And I wasn't worried about YouTube and Twitter and things like that. I was worried about the stream, where you can listen to the stream all day long at therushradio.com. That's another element. So there's a bunch of different plugins and stuff. I'm becoming more computer literate, but I did have to call Owen last night. It was about 10 o'clock. I'm like, hey, man, I'm not seeing the meter running. I'm not seeing my voice meter. So he's like, do this. Oh, I had to click a button.
There's
it's
a button?
amazing.
There's a button?
A virtual button. You know, you just take the mouse and have the virtual button. We do have it is Friday. It is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. Ross, you are probably the second closest relationship I have outside my wife and kids.
And same to you. I'm lucky to have a lot of close friends and great buddies. But yeah, you're the only one that I see on a daily basis.
Joe Hayhoe is going to be joining us right around 7:30. I've never met Joe. You were telling me about him yesterday. He's got a speakeasy in his house.
Dude, Joe is local foodie and kind of food reviewer, but whiskey connoisseur and just all around kind of fun guy. So we're going to have Joe join us to talk about Valentine's Day and some things around town.
And apparently Joe and I have a mutual friend, because in the email to us last night, he said somebody said hello to me, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know you two knew each other. So we're making a connection already on people we know.
Can you share who that was, or is it not?
It's James Syme, who is a CEO of a nonprofit in Omaha. But a huge Iowa fan. So we bond. We do a lot of work. We're doing a big project for him right now, and we bond over Hawkeye talk because he's a huge Hawkeye. And so every time we get together, we're able to talk Hawks. So that's
Joe's just going to come on because he's a guy's guy and a Des Moines guy, and kind of just fun dude to talk to. And we're going to talk to him about some fun. In fact, Trav, yesterday, you didn't even know this. You had on the rundown yesterday something that we didn't get to. And it was that a Des Moines restaurant had been put on a very, very prestigious list.
Oak Park.
Joe had a review from Oak Park that went viral. That is one of the funniest food reviews you'll ever read in your life. So, not that we'll have him recreate that, but we can at least chat with him about that. And then it's also funny because one of the guys put in our chat talking about different places we would eat, right? And Cole said, I could be on Mars, and if I saw a Long John Silver's, I have to stop. Joe's actually been an influencer endorsed by Long John Silver's.
Really?
Yeah, he loves him some Long John Silver's.
Get yourself some hush puppies.
I think if we asked Joe, 5 best places to get a fish plank in Des Moines, Long John Silver's would be 1, 3, and 5.
Leave your comments in the comment section on YouTube and Twitter. You can visit the website, therushradio.com. It is The Rush Radio Show at therushradio.com.
Hi, I'm Sean McFarland, Service Manager at Mini of Des Moines. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and if you're looking for the perfect gift for your Mini, give us a call and get your vehicle in for its scheduled maintenance or any repairs that you've put off until now. There's no better way to make your Mini feel the love that you have for it. Please give us a call or visit us online at miniofdesmoines.com.
You've dreamed about an absolutely organized garage or closet? See it for yourself at Absolute Garage & Closet's beautiful showroom in Urbandale. See the latest in garage storage, custom closet systems, and epoxy flooring applications up close, and imagine how good it will feel to have your garage, closets, or other spaces absolutely organized. Free consultations, friendly service, and quick project turnarounds, Absolute Garage & Closets is ready to bring peace of mind into your home. Visit Absolute Garage & Closets at 3169 99th Street in Urbandale or at absolutegarage.net.
Missing a quality, home-cooked meal? You know, the kind Mom used to make? Lucky for you, we found her recipe book. Welcome to the High Life. Welcome to the Champagne of Bars.
I'm loving these wooden nickels, Brian.
Yeah, I suppose everyone is catching on.
Just spend $20 to get a wooden nickel.
It's $25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings on your next purchase.
Some of these are worth $5. That could be huge.
I know, right? That's why you have to spend $20.
It's $25.
Collect 10. It's like money back to you.
Spend 20, you get another wooden nickel.
It's $25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings. It's huge.
Central City Liquor is home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the wooden nickel program.
It's huge.
There's a new spin on casual dining near Drake University. Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers. Craveable faves, flatbreads, delicious burgers, frozen cocktails, and a crazy cool vibe. Get to Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers today.
Is something in your attic keeping you up at night? Don't let unwanted guests take over your home. With over 20 years of experience, Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions is Central Iowa's trusted expert in fast, effective, eco-friendly wildlife solutions at a fair price. We safely remove bats, squirrels, raccoons, birds, and more so you can sleep soundly again. For a free estimate, call Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions today at 515-218-3400.
You just heard from Bats and Bugs. Make sure to go visit Bats and Bugs at the Home Garden Show this weekend. Corey's going to be down there. Make sure to tell him you're a Rush listener. You're going to get 10% off your first service from Bats and Bugs. You got those critters crawling into your house, they can take care of them. Coon, squirrel, possum, you name it. Got some bugs, got some bats. Boom, gone. Just gone.
Help you out with all the stuff. If you're dealing with critters at all, give Corey and his team a call. Guys will come out and help you out. He's our expert. He's been a wonderful partner so far, man. Even he's called into the show when we've had worries or questions. Wonder about squirrels? He's your man. You wondering about raccoons? He's your man.
Yesterday, one of our first posts on our new Instagram page was the map of where everybody was listening from, just a snapshot. I just checked real quick. Somebody's listening in Los Angeles right now, and I'm like, okay, it is 5:30 in the morning in Los Angeles, and you're listening to The Rush. I think that's super cool.
They're from Iowa. They're there on business.
Probably, and that's great. Or we could just be catching on with people, and people are like, you know what? This is a pretty good radio show.
Think we're catching on with that 5 a.m. L.A. Coke crowd?
It could be. L.A. Coke crowd. I like it.
It would be 4 a.m. in L.A. when we start. It'd be 4.
Oh, yeah. It would be.
So, I mean, yeah. Now, does that seem a little bit more suspicious?
Just got done at the Whiskey A Go-Go. Good show at the Whiskey A Go-Go.
Oh, Pete. It's Pete. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. I won't jump to conclusions.
Oh, it's
I will tell you, there is an interesting comment in the chat. Have you ever been in a hot air balloon, Travis?
Yes.
It's an interesting experience, isn't it?
It is. It's a weird experience because you're moving, but you don't feel like you're moving. It is an absolute peace.
Yeah, it's very odd.
It's like you're just floating. And you're hovering at, a couple thousand feet, and you're like, okay, I know I'm moving, but it's serenity.
It's at the same time comforting and disconcerting. You do have that thought in your head of like, I'm in a wicker basket. I'm in a wicker basket, being held up to this balloon. Okay. All right. I'll trust this thing because yeah. And then they don't tell you this till you're in them. You don't land a hot air balloon. You crash it.
True.
There's no landing it. You crash it. Unless you're very lucky. Very rare, unless the wind gets completely still and they can actually land the thing. Most of the time it's still moving and it crashes.
Now, when you say crash, don't worry, people. It's a tip over.
Yeah. People usually don't get hurt in them. I mean, it's not. It's fun. It's a great experience if you have the chance to do it. I don't know where this comment came from, but S. Williams says, ever have someone in a hot air balloon shout insults down at you and call you names?
The answer to that is no. I have not.
Think you're in pretty rare air there. Think that there's not a lot of company there in that category.
How high do you have to be before they can't hear you anymore?
So that's one of the things I remember about my hot air balloon ride was that you could communicate with people on the ground. I mean, shockingly easily.
Down there.
The funniest thing that happened, Trav, we're flying. We took off on the east side of Des Moines. It was a wind that was blowing straight west. And so I basically went parallel with that 80-35 run that goes along the north side of town just straight across town. And I was live on WHO. I was with my friends Van and Bonnie doing live broadcasts from the balloon. And we get over towards West Des Moines, and we're over an industrial park, and not a lot of wind that day. We're moving real slow. And this guy comes out of this warehouse, and he's going to smoke a cigarette. And he, comes out, and he grabs his stuff, and we're right above him. We're probably, 200 feet above him, 300 feet above him. And he's and he lights a cigarette, and he does the classic, and as he looks up, he sees us above him. I swear to God, he goes like this. Holy shit. He's like, We're like, hi. Hi. We didn't call him names, though. And by the way, if somebody in a hot air balloon called you names, couldn't you just track the balloon?
Yeah, but sooner or later you're going to be like, okay, I'm giving up on this.
I feel like I feel like that's the kid that spits off the sky glider at Adventureland. I'm just going to go over there and wait for you. Little shit.
Do people really spit off the sky glider at Adventureland?
It's happened.
And you're talking the ski lift, right? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. Because that's not as far as you think. You know, when you're a kid, it's like the longest ride in the world. We're going to ride all the way across the park. Get to be an adult, and you're like, that's all the farther this thing is? I could have walked that faster. It's official. The Jets have cut ties with Aaron Rodgers. And the 2-year experiment with Aaron Rodgers is over. There were a lot of rumors about this. Now, Woody Johnson and the Jets were gracious in their parting the ways, wished him the best of luck. But Aaron Rodgers went to New York last week to visit with the Jets organization, Ross, and there was a lot of rumors and innuendo that came out of that, some demands that may have been made on Aaron Rodgers. One, you're not going to miss any training camp. Remember, we went to Africa last year.
Yep.
You weren't going to miss any training camp. And I can understand that. The other one that came out, and we don't know if it's true or not, but you know what? It's sometimes when rumors get out there, they take on a life of their own, is that they said he could no longer do his weekly interviews with Pat McAfee.
I thought you were going to say ayahuasca. They said no more of that.
No. I'm sure that was part of it, but they wanted him to stop doing Pat McAfee.
Huh.
I don't, if you're a professional athlete and you have your name, image, and likeness, I think you can do an interview with whoever you want.
You can when you're winning. When you're not performing, that's when your boss gets to say, hey, can we talk about some of your extracurricular activities and what might be detracting you from being the best you can be for our team? I have no problem with the Jets doing this. I really don't. You're right, Trav, that Aaron Rodgers, and I do think that an Aaron Rodgers priority list, being on Pat McAfee's show is more important. I do think that Pat McAfee his relationship with Pat McAfee is more important than his relationship with the Jets general manager. And that probably was one of the things where he was like, I'm not doing that.
And he was a little more open and honest. I mean, he would say stuff about that. I mean, he would openly talk about, and I get that being maybe concerned, saying, hey, you can't dish inside or secrets with us. I mean, don't air your dirty laundry or your frustration with the organization. But I just thought that was interesting. That would be one of the demands to say, you know what? We don't want you to do Pat McAfee anymore. But that's also to the point, Ross, where it's like, hey, we're going to tell him this because we know there's no way in the world he's going to agree to it. It's like, let's throw this out there to see how much he really, really wants to be a New York Jet.
Okay, I'll go with that. I think that could be. I would hope that an organization like the Jets wouldn't need to play those types of games. Like I would hope that they wouldn't even go into those conversations with him unless they knew they actually wanted him to try to come back. I would imagine before they sat down with him, I mean, Trav, whenever you go into a negotiation, you sit down with your team, right? And you say, all right, what's going to be the best thing for us here? And if they said going into it, hey, the best thing for us is to not have this guy, I would hope that they would have just called and said, hey, let's not even have the meeting.
See,
there's no reason for us to meet.
That's the difference between you and me, is that you see the best in everybody and think that people have noble. I think every organization, every corporation, everybody plays games. Everybody plays games.
And there's a reason that you've succeeded in.
I wouldn't say that I'm a success.
I would, but anyway, you understand this stuff. You understand human nature way better than I do, Trav. You see that in people. You have a sixth sense for character. I'm
BS.
blind to it. I'm Pollyannish. I want to think everybody's. I think the best in people. You're probably right that they went into this thing and said, all right, what are the things we can do to sabotage this? How can we make sure that he says that? And then it looks like it's a parting of ways. It doesn't look like we told him to go away. You're absolutely right. See, it took me a minute and a half to get there. That's probably what they did. They went in and said, all right, we can put some demands on this guy. And some of them are going to seem fair, but we got to throw a couple in here that. And again, I want to go back. I don't think they're wrong. I think if you want to get the best Aaron Rodgers, you're going to have to, whichever team, and because this is the other part of that conversation is, does some team finally acquiesce and say, all right, you want to go do ayahuasca, you want to do Pat McAfee, just come here and don't throw 35 interceptions. Is some team going to do that?
Well, I think you got to have some demands, because I don't care how established you are. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Hall of Famer, right? We can agree on Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Hall of Famer. Aaron Rodgers at one time was one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in the National Football League. Well, maybe because he played. His peak was also when Tom Brady was playing.
Yeah.
So,
but that's a fair thing to say. That Aaron,
yes.
I mean, the guy won multiple MVPs.
Yes, and I think being a veteran has some of that cred, but being a veteran, being a captain, also means you have to be a captain, meaning you have to be there for your team, and and
got to be a leader.
Yes, leadership. You don't get to take a back seat to being a leader if you're not going to be at training camp. If you're not going to be a mentor to quarterbacks that are younger than you, to be there for other players to help build them up. And if you're gonna skip training camp because, well, I got to go to Africa because it was already pre-planned. But the thing that bothered me probably most about the podcast, or not podcast, but the Pat McAfee show, is how many of these other players, look at Travis and Jason Kelce, they all have a lot of popular players are doing other forms of media outside of what they do on a weekly basis.
Oh, you're right, Trav, they are. How many of them are? Everybody's situation is unique, and it takes discretion. You got to take those individual situations and dissect them. Aaron Rodgers was not performing at the level his team needed him to perform at. So if they're looking around and going, man, we could use these extra hours, dude. We're paying you millions of dollars. We got a $1 billion organization that's dependent upon your performance, and you aren't able to show up for us on a daily basis. We understand that this is only an hour of your time, and it's with your buddy, and you're essentially sitting there and talking football. We get it. We need your focus here. You're an NFL quarterback. And again, I think that's what they finally decided. They looked around, did the math, and said, we're going to be better off with some guy that we can actually convince to stick around here. And Aaron Rodgers is at that point in his career where he can do that, where he can say, I'm doing ayahuasca and Pat McAfee because I'm going to the Hall of Fame. My gold jacket's waiting for me.
And the Jets are at a place saying, well, you were injured year one, you were horrible year two, and you're 40-some years old. We can't build a franchise on your shoulders.
Exactly.
They thought when they brought him in, the missing piece was the quarterback. They had everybody else. Get injured, the quarterback's missing. And then everybody else didn't live up to the expectations either. I don't think the Jets were as solid as they thought they were going to be bringing in Aaron Rodgers.
I almost said, well, duh. What would make them think it was gonna work? It's never worked to bring in an old quarterback. Yeah, it has. It's worked in the past, and sometimes it's worked with the greatest of all time, like Peyton Manning, and even Joe Montana had success with the Chiefs. So I think of Brett Favre. My first thought was, well, of course you brought in an old quarterback and the guy sucked. That's how it always works. Not always. Sometimes these guys find magic late in their career.
Did Brett Favre suck? He took the Vikings to the NFC Championship game, right? I mean, after his Jets.
True. It's just true. But it's just the way it ended. It's that last pass. The last play. Don't you remember the last play? Forget about his career.
But if Aaron Rodgers would have taken the Jets to the AFC title game, most people would say, okay, that was that they didn't get to the Super Bowl, but you got to the AFC title game. That was a success.
They would have. We would. You're right. We'd look at that and say, hey, he did what he was supposed to do.
Cole brings up Tom Brady with the Bucks, and
Good,
even though,
another great example, Cole.
Yes, 100%. S. Williams says, I think the ayahuasca screwed him up. He used to be kind of a normal person. No, he wasn't. The dude is kind of like me. He hasn't talked to his family like in 20 years. That's not normal. I'm not normal. When you don't talk to your dad or your brothers for 26 years, that's not normal. There's things going on up there.
He's had problems with relationships most of his life, unfortunately. I mean, he is a good-looking NFL quarterback who's been cycling through girlfriends most of his career.
He had Danica Patrick. You're thinking,
he
oh my God.
has problems with relationships. He's a hard guy to get. I think he's just got walls up. He's a tough guy to love. He's a tough guy to show love. I don't know. I don't know the guy, but just look around his life. I'm with you, Trav. I don't think it was the ayahuasca that screwed him up.
I think he was trying to find serenity with the ayahuasca.
He was searching for something, man. Like all of us. He's out there wandering, trying to figure out what this is all about, right? And that's...
You bring up a good point, Ross. If anything, I know Aaron Rodgers is polarizing, and I know a lot of people are probably like, but everybody talks about mental illness and stuff. He's not saying he has mental illness, but if you look at he's obviously searching for something to make him whole, or you wouldn't do this stuff, right? I mean, you can be holistic. You can do the ayahuasca to find meaning or whatever. But when you can't hold relationships, when you have a hard time doing this, it's a reminder that no matter how famous you are, how good of a football player you are, everybody's got something going on in their life that you may not know about. And I guarantee Aaron Rodgers falls right into that. Everybody is carrying around their own suitcase of crazy. Everybody. And Jason says he's weird.
Yes.
See, that's the problem. You're right, he is weird. But you're also stereotyping somebody. Because if you were to get to know Aaron Rodgers and probably know his whole story, you'd be like, oh, now I know why you're weird. Right? I happen to be more open about the relationship with my family, so you guys get a total understanding of where I'm coming from. I usually don't hold something back. I like to say this radio show is my therapy. I don't have to pay for therapy. I come on and just tell everybody.
To do this every day, right?
Because more times than not, somebody who's listening can relate to it or has the exact same thing going on in their life, right? And so I look at Aaron Rodgers, and it's easy to go, "You're weird, man. You're weird," but.
I felt like this same thing happened, and this is another one people are not going to like it when I say this, but I felt like understanding her story made me understand Kim Mulkey a little better. Understanding some of the traumas that she went through in her life that would screw up a person, that would make you question people. It would make you go, I don't think people are good. I don't think people are good because the people that were supposed to be good to me in my life were not good to me. And that would make you question. And then once you see it through that filter, you go, oh, that's why she says and does and acts. Okay.
You're talking about the New York Times article or the Washington Post article that came out.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a hit piece that she thought was a hit piece on her. And you and I both read it and went, oh, my God, this is a compassion piece. This is an understanding. This is a sympathy, empathy situation. So I'm with you, Trav. I think if you got to know Aaron Rodgers, if you sat down and had a beer with him, you'd think, this guy's amazing. He's super cool. He's awesome. And then once you really got to know him, it would happen like every other relationship that's happened in the guy's life. It'd be really hard to stick around and be a part of him. And I'm just saying that obviously. The proof's in the pudding.
And the fact that he puts himself out there and because he's comfortable enough makes him come off as weird. I promise you, there's a lot more weird people in the National Football League. There's a lot more weird people in the NBA, in the NHL. They're out there. They're just not as open about it.
And weird is such a subjective term. Weird, to me, I guarantee you there's creepier people. There's people doing creepier things. I mean, there are criminals. There are perverts. There's all sorts of nasty, nasty, nasty stuff. Being weird ain't the worst. I absolutely agree, Jason. He is. Jason says, I feel bad now. No, don't feel bad.
No reason to feel bad. Coach Hersom just texted me, he goes, I relate more to you and your stories than you will ever know.
See, and I think people do. I hear that from people a lot. Dude, can we talk about, I wish we should have shared this when Owen was on with us or sometime, because I loved seeing Owen's reaction. Can we talk about when you met my dad?
Yeah, up at Lucky Horse?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think it fits into this conversation. My dad didn't like you.
Hated me.
For a long time, did not like you. And it took my dad getting to know you, right? It took my dad getting to know your story, getting to know who you were as a man, before my dad was like, you know what? I like this guy a lot. I like this guy. So when we met at Lucky Horse one time, my dad said, go ahead.
Let's get clarification. So it was right after you got fired.
Yep.
And people remember the Monday that I went on the air after you got fired. I did my thing, and then I said, everybody go at it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and your dad really liked
He
the
called
way I
in that
handled
day.
That's
Because
right.
I
he
didn't
did.
listen. I didn't listen. I had a friend call and say, dude, you got to listen. Your dad just called in. I think it was actually Keith Murphy. I think it was maybe Jenny or Keith that called me and said, dude, your dad just called in. It was really emotional. You got to listen to that.
Yeah.
And so went and did that. And my friend Melanie had called in. That was really cool. That's my buddy Dusty's sister, actually. So that was a neat day. But my dad called me. One of the first things that happened that day was my dad called and said, hey, next time Travis Justice comes to Des Moines, I want to meet him. And I was like, oh, okay, why? And he's like, I just love the way he handled it today. I thought that was really classy. That guy's a class act, and he's a real friend, Ross. And I said, you're right, Dad. Yeah, he always has been. So you came to town a couple weeks later. You and Owen were going through town. And I said, hey, while you're coming through town, stop at, let's get lunch. And my dad wants to meet you. And I think at first you were like, okay. And I've seen my dad do this a couple of times in my life, which is super cool and super difficult when you're a man and you're an adult and having these conversations. Where we sat down and my dad looked you right in the eye and said, Travis, I was wrong about you. I had a perception in my mind of the type of person you were, and I was wrong. And you're like, no, don't need to do this. And he said, no, I do. I do need to do this because I was wrong about you, and I'm sorry about that. And I really respect, that you've been a good friend and all that. And I remember Owen sitting there, and Owen went, this is fucking cool. And I said, yeah, that's my dad. That's my dad. Seen that a few times in his life. Man's man, but will look people in the eye and go, hey, you know what? I was wrong. And it's amazing to see people's reaction go, you can do that? You can just say you were wrong and you're sorry? Hell, I'm going to try that sometime.
And don't you feel bad? Because I think it happens to all of us. We all have a preconceived notion about somebody, and then you meet them, and you're like, oh, I was way off. And you almost have this guilt of what comes through your body about, oh, I wish I didn't feel that way because I was wrong all along.
I guarantee it'd be that way with Fran McCaffrey.
Well, it's interesting. Coach Hersom says in the chat, the Fran McCaffrey interview after the Rutgers game, and I didn't hear it, was probably the most human that guy has ever been in his life.
You haven't seen it yet, Trav? Because I didn't see it I didn't see it in the moment. I was done. I had the game off. I just saw this thing come across one of my timelines yesterday, and it is real. If I find it again, I'll send it to you, buddy, because it is exactly what Coach Hersom was saying there. Like it's that connection thing we're talking. We've been. I think it cuts through this conversation that we've been having lately. Like, man, we don't connect with this guy, but his players seem to.
Yes,
his players very obviously do. They don't leave in mass numbers. They don't quit on the guy. They get tired as the season goes on, but they're not. They love him. And you saw the post game interview after the Rutgers game. I think it made that connection, or you at least got to open that window into that love for those kids, because he gets emotional. He starts to like choke up just talking about a road win. You know what I mean? But man, this team didn't quit. This team kept fighting. This team was down early. This team was down in the second half, and they came back and won this game, and that means a lot to me. And he, when I say emotional, in the Fran sense, Fran doesn't get, but dude, he literally chokes up. Like he's talking, and you can feel the emotion overtake his words.
And you don't want to say too little, too late, but that's how people relate. Right? TJ Otzelberger came out yesterday and just thanked Iowa State. Remember how we talk about bring the fans in? Fans want to relate to you, and they see something like that, go, okay, I see the human side of him. That's my coach, right? I mean, I'm not saying he's going to keep that forever if they don't keep winning, but they go, oh, I can relate to that guy.
Yeah.
We got an hour in the books. We got an hour to go. Joe Hayhoe is going to be joining us right around 7:30. Got a story coming out from Last Chance U. Last Chance U. I don't know if you've seen this, Ross. I'm going to give you about 2.5 minutes to go see it, but it's pretty interesting. And guess what? It took almost 10 years, but there's a lawsuit, and can you believe it? Kids were being taken advantage of. We'll talk about it when we come back on The Rush Radio Show at therushradio.com. The Rush Radio Show powered by Willis Automotive.
With over 260 beers on tap, El Bait Shop isn't just another craft beer bar. It's the best. Beer lovers know. El Bait Shop, 200 Southwest 2nd, Des Moines.
Oh, boy.
That's right, Brian. It's tailgate season, and Central City's got everything a good tailgate needs.
We have all the beer,
All the good party drinks.
And don't forget the White Claw.
hot dogs, brats, and chips.
Kegs and eggs.
And if you fill up your cooler with beer from Central City, we'll throw in the ice for free. By the way, what team is this supposed to represent?
All the teams, Brian. All the teams. I don't discriminate. Tailgate time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Central City Liquors, home of the 10% cash coupon.
There's more Iowa in the Iowa Tap Room than you may realize. Housed in a building nearly as old as Iowa itself, the Iowa Tap Room greets you with a harvest of 120 Iowa craft beers on tap from all corners of the state. And the food doesn't get much more Iowa than this. The Iowa Tap Room, all Iowa beer, one amazing place.
Hi, I'm Steve Ollinger, Service Director at Willis Nissan. February is here. Love is in the air. Valentine's Day is around the corner. Flowers, chocolates, brakes, oil changes, batteries. Get your car checked today. Go online to willisnissan.com to make your appointment. Happy Valentine's Day.
Is something in your attic keeping you up at night? Don't let unwanted guests take over your home. With over 20 years of experience, Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions is Central Iowa's trusted expert in fast, effective, eco-friendly wildlife solutions at a fair price. We safely remove bats, squirrels, raccoons, birds, and more so you can sleep soundly again. For a free estimate, call Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions today at 515-218-3400.
You've dreamed about an absolutely organized garage or closet? See it for yourself at Absolute Garage & Closet's beautiful showroom in Urbandale. See the latest in garage storage, custom closet systems, and epoxy flooring applications up close, and imagine how good it will feel to have your garage, closets, or other spaces absolutely organized. Free consultations, friendly service, and quick project turnarounds, Absolute Garage & Closets is ready to bring peace of mind into your home. Visit Absolute Garage & Closets at 3169 99th Street in Urbandale or at absolutegarage.net.
It is the Rush Radio Show at therushradio.com, powered by Willis Automotive. There it is. There's that funky music. Yeah. Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give this video a like. It's very simple. You can also follow us on X at Rush Mornings, like our Facebook page. Now I got to remake this graphic. Probably needs to be remade anyway because I got to add that damn Instagram page to it. Got to add Instagram to it. Still not doing the TikTok, though. No TikToking.
Chinese spyware. We're not doing that. We're not letting them. We're not letting them in, Trav. Not doing
at
it.
all. Not at all. Just heard from our one of our former bosses, which I thought was really cool, and he's now an internet radio guy. He's gone from terrestrial radio to internet radio. That's what I like. He's made the switch.
Oh, you mean by listening to us, he's an internet radio guy, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant he was like doing a show. I'm like, yes.
No. We've switched him.
We've
made it easy to find.
We need to talk about that. I think we should find a way because, dude, Greg's a resource for us. We're talking about Greg Chance, by the way.
Yes.
Greg and I were fired on the same day. Or furloughed or laid off, released.
Sorry, you were laid off.
We weren't fired.
Remember, you weren't fired. You were laid off.
We were just told our asses weren't let back in the building. Whatever terminology you use for that day. So anyway, super smart guy, opinionated.
Very much so.
Yeah, and really well connected in Des Moines. So we should figure out a way to bring him to have like some sort of Des Moines. I don't know.
We should ask him if he feels he was laid off. Greg, were you laid off or were you fired?
Because I felt like I got fired.
Well, I'll tell you. He's going to get mad at me for telling this story. I don't care. When you got
who's
fired,
going to get mad? Hold on,
Greg.
Oh well, what? Why would you why would you do something?
Well, I just want to tell you how it went down. I got the phone call that you were laid off, right? And I'm like, nobody gave me a heads up, right? And maybe I don't deserve one. I don't know. So I pick up the phone to call Greg Chance to let him have it.
Oh.
I pick up the phone. I'm like, dude, how can you do this to me? We've had a good relationship. You can't do this to me. And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, what do you mean what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. You fired Ross. He goes, well, I got fired too. And I'm like, oh, that was one of my jumping to conclusions, assuming something about somebody, and then go, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So
anyway, Greg, thanks for listening. Thanks for the shout out. Always means a lot, man. Thank you so much.
Ross, before we ended the first hour, I told you there was a story going on with Last Chance U. Of course,
yes.
Last Chance U might be one of the most famous Netflix series out there for sports lovers, right? I mean, that first Last Chance U with East Mississippi State really drew people in. People were like, oh, my God, this Buddy Stevens guy. And the tutor lady, I forget what her name was, she became like a star. And, these players were portrayed in a weird way. You saw their living conditions. Some of them were portrayed as being dumb because they didn't go to class or lazy in some instances. Well, now 6 former players of East Mississippi State are suing the creators of Last Chance U for $30 million for, amongst things, the way they were portrayed, saying that it has hurt their ability to function outside of the football world. But it goes deeper than that. And if this is really true, now this is what they're claiming on their side of the lawsuit, right? There's always a counter to it. But they're claiming, Ross, that they were forced to sign contracts and that if they didn't sign contracts, they would not be allowed to practice. So if they didn't want to be a part of the show, they weren't going to basically practice or be part of East Mississippi State. They're also saying that East Mississippi State produced gear, shirts, swag, all sorts of stuff that promoted their name, image, and likeness, sold it, and never made a dime off of it. So, and the rules were different at that point, completely different.
But
the thing that bothers me the most,
when you say the rules were completely different, you mean
you didn't have NIL, you didn't have people getting paid.
But did that? Okay, go ahead. Continue.
If you really told a kid you have no choice but to sign this contract without legal representation, well, the old me would have said, "Shame on you." I will say that now. going forward in the NIL world, if a kid is taken advantage of, that's shame on you now, because there's been plenty of warning out there. You need an agent. You need a lawyer. You need to dot your I's and cross your T's. You're in the world of business now. Back then, you have these JUCO kids who just want to play football. They're going to be on TV, and then it comes across, Buddy Stevens looks like a crazy coach. These players look dumb in many cases. And I'm sure if you do Google, hey, you were on last year. You were that kid who didn't go to class. You're the kid who could barely write his name on
Travis,
last
all you have to
Chance
see is there's some truth to this.
Yes.
If you were going to hire a guy and you saw that he was in any way connected to Last Chance U, wouldn't that instantly take him and drop him down a tier? Wouldn't the shade that you see that person in change a little bit? Where you'd go,
yes.
Man, I don't know. This is a guy who, all I know about Last Chance U is you had all the opportunities and you screwed it up to the point where you were at some Loserville school where everybody made fun of you and you still couldn't get it right. But okay, there's truth on all sides here. Isn't that what that was?
Yes.
Isn't what we, boy, it really sucks that you got painted in this brush of the paint that you were swimming in. You did that. And man, the crappy thing there is where you started it. If they coerced these kids in any way or held these opportunities, which they sold these kids on that opportunity. Coming to this university, which none of us had really heard of before this.
It put Scuba, Mississippi on the map.
Right, and we found out they were a powerhouse. And what class were they in? Was it D3? Was it even NCAA?
No. It's the National Junior College Association.
That's right, JUCO.
So it's JUCO. So I know the coach over at Iowa Western quite well. He's been on my Doc Talk podcast, and I asked him, I said, do you ever think about doing Last Chance U? He goes, they came to us. And I said, no way. He goes, I'm not going to be a sideshow. I'm not going to have you dictate what the narrative of my program is going to be because you want drama.
Smart.
I don't have drama. Yeah, he goes, I'm going to win it. He's won, 3 national titles? He goes, I don't need this show to recruit. I don't need this show to win. And I don't need this show to create a divide within a team.
Yeah.
And so he walked away from it.
Is it a great opportunity? Yes, it is. At what cost? At what cost is that opportunity coming to you? Because this is the chickens are coming home to roost. This is you made your bed, now lie in it. All of these things apply here. Not that it's a crappy situation, Trav, because these were young men who were sold on this opportunity. This is your last chance. You want to get to the NFL? I mean, come on. You sell these optimistic kids on this pipe dream.
Like Ronald Ollie was probably the most famous one. If you went back and if you saw him, you'd go, oh, I remember that guy. He was kind of put off as maybe lazy a little bit. He ended up playing Division I. I think he went to a lot of these guys went to Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Auburn. They went to big universities, right? But the biggest, I don't have problems with the way they were portrayed because I just get out the video and say, did this not happen? Did you not struggle in class? I mean, my biggest problem is if you were really told, hey, you have to sign this contract or you can't practice or you're basically threatened with a football career for not signing because you didn't get any legal representation. You didn't know what you were doing coming in out of high school going, oh, I'm going to be part of Last Chance U. Okay, yeah, I'll be on Netflix. And then you see how much this show probably made, a ton of money, and you were coerced to do it. Not really coerced. You were threatened. You were threatened with if you don't do this, you're not going to practice. I believe John Franklin III is part of this. If my memory serves me correctly, because he was part of East Mississippi, and then he was part of that Dream U at Independence. Remember, they went to Independence Junior College down in Kansas, and I believe he ended up playing there too.
Okay, that's why that one rings a bell.
And then ended up at Auburn, I think it was. So
I'll tell you what one of the gross ones is, and somebody in the chat mentioned it. The one name that I remember from all of the Last Chance U is Jason Brown.
Coach JB.
Disgusting. Like a caricature of a coach. The guy was a bad caricature of a coach. That's the name I remember. That's kind of gross that of all of those things, because I really did like that show when it first came out. That first season, I found myself rooting for those kids. The John, did you say John Marshall the third? What was the name? John Franklin.
John Franklin.
Yeah. That name I remember. I remember trying to follow him and rooting for him a little bit. But the name that I remember, as soon as you said Last Chance U, the image in my head is that Jason Brown dude, who just seemed like a vile human. It's like, how does this guy get put in a leadership role? Who in their right mind at an institution of higher learning says this is the type of person I want representing us, and this is the type of guy that I want teaching our young men?
And that dude is still functional today. I mean,
yeah,
people line up for interviews.
His stardom grew.
Yes.
I mean, he wouldn't have a platform if it weren't for the show. He absolutely was launched from all of that. And these kids, I think you're right about that. The first conversation we had, Trav, their image is actually tarnished. It's almost impossible for them to get rid of that.
Yeah, because it's out there. It will be there forever. And no matter what you do, it could be used against you, or people come back and go, man, I watched The Last Chance U. You didn't come off very good on that. And I'll take it a step further. I would say Last Chance U, for as noble as I think they were trying to do, but understood that you needed a storyline. If you're going to have something on TV, you need a storyline. There has to be a protagonist. There has to be an antagonist. Yeah. There has to be all these things that play into it. That's why movies are successful. There's a guide. There's a hero. There's a villain.
There's a rhythm and a format to it.
Yes, and the script is the same on every single movie. Every single successful story follows the script. It hasn't changed. But what I'm going to say about what Last Chance U did, I didn't think it did junior colleges any favors. Meaning it made JUCOs look like just dumb people go to JUCOs, and that's not the case. You know, if you're a DMAC, if you're at Iowa Western, if you're in Indian Hills, you're looking at these things going, you're portraying what we're doing, providing a low-cost education for people who may want to just get an associate's degree, do something like that, or move on to a 4-year degree, making it look like, well, you couldn't make it anywhere else. And I don't think that was an accurate or fair portrayal of junior colleges.
You're absolutely right, Trav. This is why your friends on the western side of the state were really smart to see what was the potential to unfold here. Great opportunity to showcase the university. Did any of those universities? Did any of those institutions get put in a bright light? Did any of those institutions look better at the end of it? No, not at all. They may think they did. I mean, look at Independence Junior College, right? You had to fire James or Coach Brown because he called his German kicker Hitler and a Nazi? Jeez, are you serious?
Yeah, that's why he got fired. You know, you had the athletic director that ended up leaving. It was just an absolute mess.
And again, this really does. So this conversation really says something. I hate to take these things like these deep, meta conversations, but dude, it says a lot about our society. It says a lot about us that the one guy that really got the benefit out of this was the worst of the lot. The one guy who shouldn't have. The one dude who didn't deserve it. The grossest human in of so far. Some of these kids might turn out to be awful humans. This JB guy is pretty gross. And he's the one, he's got a podcast. His stardom, his platform has built and built and built and built by being
crazy,
by being the human he is, and it's all because of this. And in the wake of it is all of these other kids' lives who now get Googled and get looped in with that.
We got Joe Hayhoe coming up around 7:32, so get ready for that. I think he's going to be in a speakeasy too, Ross. So that's coming up at 7:32. We last night the Iowa women got a win over Rodgers, 55-43. Lucy Olson's playing at an incredible rate right now. She was 27 points last night, 4 or 5 from behind the three-point line. And Iowa won its 6th in a row, so a good win for the Iowa Hawkeye women last night. They play President's Day, which would be Monday. They're going to be at number 6 Ohio State. That's at 11 o'clock in the morning game. You know, I know it's President's Day and they're doing that. That's kind of like off your rhythm, right? You play night game. Oh, let's go play at 11 o'clock in the morning on a Monday.
I think it'll just feel like a Saturday. You know what I mean? You have to convince yourself it's going to be one of those day rhythm clock things. It's not going to be the Saturdayest feeling Monday of all time. And you just have to approach it that way. What I thought you were going to say is like for you as a fan and a viewer, it's going to be weird because a lot of us are still going to be working on that Monday.
Yeah, well, we're going to be doing the show Monday. I'll still be in Santa Fe and flying back. But yeah, but if I was at home, I'd be going. I don't get President's Day off. I'm not a banker. I don't have the banker holiday.
That's what I thought you were going to say. Is like that makes it tough for me as a fan. It throws me off my rhythm. I don't know about the college kids. I don't know that they are necessarily in that weekday, especially these athletes where 24/7 you are a basketball player, right?
Yeah.
So, we'll see. Maybe it's a good thing. I mean, this is a really tough game. Going on the road against a top 10 team, that's a really tough game right on its surface. So, sure, disrupt the rhythm a little bit. Let's see if it benefits the underdog.
So, when Joe comes on, he says he has a good JB story. So, I'm anxious to hear what Joe has to say about JB. Joe, hold on. We'll get to you. But he says he's got a good JB story. So, I'm anxious to hear that. Okay. You know, we talked about Fran McCaffrey earlier. Here's what I don't get about the Big Ten. Before I go there, I got to ask you a banker's question. Let's say you have somebody who comes to you on Monday and says, hey, Ross Peterson, I called your number at 515-867-1679 because I saw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they want that sold sign in front of their house, or they want to buy a house to where you put that sold sign.
Yeah.
Okay? They're ready to go on Monday. They don't have financing yet. They need a finance.
Yeah.
Banks are closed on Monday.
Lenders are not. Lenders are not. Yeah. We are going to be, next week, we're going to get our buddy Gary Presnall on. Maybe we'll have him on. Gary's going to be hopping on as a sponsor of our program. Okay. Gary's, I think, volume-wise, might do the most. Anyway, we'll get all the details of that. I don't want to overspeak it. Wonderful dude and responsive like that. On a Monday, it doesn't Saturday, Sunday night. Lenders are like realtors, Trav. You're on vacation, you're on the beach, it's Wednesday, phone rings, you're answering that phone. Have you ever seen what's the Jeremy Piven show where he was like the agent? It was
Entourage.
Entourage. Golly. Have you ever seen that clip of him when he's at the relationship counselor with his wife? It's the middle of the meeting. They're in the middle of a conversation and his phone rings. And he starts to like answer the phone and she goes, see, this is what I'm talking about. I can't even get an hour on a Wednesday with this guy. And his response is, listen, you're right. I don't have to take this phone call, but we also don't have to live in the house we live in or have private therapy. Do you want to live in where the house we live in and have private therapy? Because if you do, I got to take this phone call. And that is what it's like to be this guy or be Gary Presnall, a lender. You are a 24/7, 365, no holidays. I hate to say that. You know what I mean? And there are exceptions to it. But normally, if you, when I went on the Camino, and I knew for a while it's going to be hard to contact me when I'm walking through a mountain in Portugal. So I set it up so that I had a couple of my fellow realtors that were handling stuff for me. Lenders do that exact same thing. So it is, you cover your bases because Monday at 11 o'clock, somebody's going to want to get a pre-approval letter.
Always be selling, right?
ABC, baby. Always be closing.
And that's what you got to do. I mentioned Iowa's going to be, you got Iowa State's at home against Cincinnati. That's going to be a home game for the Cyclones. Iowa's at Maryland. Here's what I don't get about the Big Ten. Tell me who has the advantage here. Maryland's going to be playing at home. Okay, you'd think, Maryland's got the advantage there. Iowa's been out on the East Coast because they started at Rutgers, got the win, saw the human side of Fran McCaffrey. They stay out there. They get acclimated. You know, it's like, okay, we're living out of a hotel. We're in College Park, Maryland. Maryland won at Nebraska last night, then has to fly back home to play this weekend. Isn't that weird scheduling that Iowa's been camped out there? Maryland has to come all the way across half of the country.
That's a great
stay the night, play the game, hop on a plane after the game is over, fly all the way back to the East Coast, get like a day or two off, and then play again. That does not make any sense in a scheduling world to me whatsoever. Maybe I'm not seeing the bigger picture. Maybe I don't understand it, but that doesn't make sense to me. Couldn't you arrange games where, okay, if you're on an East Coast swing, those East Coast teams are doing a homestand. If you're on a Midwest, flying these teams all over the country willy-nilly doesn't make any sense to me.
Trav, I think you can try. Now, I think that you see that they try to do that. They like you said, they send a team out. They go, okay, hell, we got them on the East Coast. Let them play Rutgers and Maryland while they're out there in a couple of days. Maybe we can. But it's impossible, literally impossible, to be able to accommodate those sorts of things for every single team. This is why as soon as you started expanding these conferences to the coast, it's like, all right, you guys can grab for this money, but are you paying attention to this stuff? Yeah. We'll
Coach Jam says, would you stop trying to make sense of college sports?
Yes.
You're right.
Again, it really is very simple, and we can all do it, and it cuts through all the conversations. It's all about the money. It's all about the television contracts and the huge dollars that come with those, and they don't give a crap about what they're doing to fly these kids around or travel budgets. That's all baked into the cake. That's all baked in. The funny thing is how for decades they brainwashed everybody by trying to convince you that college sports was somehow about the athlete.
I think at one time it was, and then I do believe there was a time.
I would say this, not in my adult conscious lifetime.
Oh, I would say late 80s, early 90s is still what, because you didn't have the TV contracts.
Okay.
I mean, you were starting, but I think once you get that taste of money, and then you lose your soul.
As soon as you started having coaches making $1 million, as soon as athletic directors were, making a ton of money, that's when it all got lost. As soon as they started piling on these things about, because again, like Trav, the amateurism thing that we were brainwashed by that. We were brainwashed. They told us that this was the noble thing, was this amateurism thing. Meanwhile, they were paying the kids under the table the whole time.
Brown paper bag, McDonald's bag.
So
$100 handshakes.
That's why I say we were always lied to. It's that old adage, man. Way easier to lie to somebody than to convince them they were lied to. We're going through that right now in the political world.
True.
It's way easier to lie to somebody than to say, hey, by the way, you got lied to, right?
Oh, and by the way, if you think this is something new, it's not. Even in the political world. I mentioned that I'm reading that book, The Art of Power with Thomas Jefferson. I'm telling you, they lied to each other left and right back in the day. You're like, oh, man, you guys were ruthless. You guys were just absolutely ruthless. So, yeah, you're right. It is much easier to lie to somebody and then hope that nobody ever finds out. You can like our Facebook page. You can follow us on Instagram. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel, give this video a like, and follow us on X at Rush Mornings. When we come back, we're going to bring in a special guest. Joe Hayhoe is going to join us. He's a friend of Ross's. I've never met Joe. I think we have a mutual friend. I kind of learned that in an email last night.
That's funny. That's really cool. I'm interested in this.
And then he's got a Coach JB story. We'll start with the Coach JB story.
I'm telling you, Joe is going to be a fun dude to talk to. Yeah, we'll get into all of it.
Joe Hayhoe next on the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.
Is something in your attic keeping you up at night? Don't let unwanted guests take over your home. With over 20 years of experience, Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions is Central Iowa's trusted expert in fast, effective, eco-friendly wildlife solutions at a fair price. We safely remove bats, squirrels, raccoons, birds, and more so you can sleep soundly again. For a free estimate, call Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions today at 515-218-3400.
My name's Quinn LaFrenz, and I'm a sales consultant here at Willis Infinity. It's February, which means love is in the air, and we have great deals for you here, including our most popular model, the QX60. We have 2.9% up to 60 months, and this stealth wrap one has an additional $5,000 off. And our all-new redesigned 2025 QX80 has $3,000 in conquest on top of additional savings. With that, you still qualify for the 2.9% APR up to 60 months. For more information, visit us in the showroom or visit us online at willisinfinity.com.
You know, Brian, at Central City, we really do have the best selection around.
I know, high quality stuff you can't find anywhere else.
Whistle Pig Plantation Rum.
Yeah, and over 150 of the best scotches on earth.
And a ton of bitters, mixers, and more.
You know what we are? High class.
Definitely high class, yeah.
Make way for the natty.
Okay, maybe medium class.
Central City Liquors, home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the Wooden Nickel program.
The largest selection of German beer in the world? You'll find it at the Hessen House. From Doppelbocks to Oktoberfest to Hefeweizens and Dunkels, there's no passport needed for the deliciously different beer and food at the Hessen House. So grab your friends and make it a fun night out. The Hessen House, 4th and Court, Des Moines.
With over 260 beers on tap, El Bait Shop isn't just another craft beer bar. It's the best. Beer lovers know. El Bait Shop, 200 Southwest 2nd, Des Moines.
You've dreamed about an absolutely organized garage or closet? See it for yourself at Absolute Garage & Closet's beautiful showroom in Urbandale. See the latest in garage storage, custom closet systems, and epoxy flooring applications up close, and imagine how good it will feel to have your garage, closets, or other spaces absolutely organized. Free consultations, friendly service, and quick project turnarounds, Absolute Garage & Closets is ready to bring peace of mind into your home. Visit Absolute Garage & Closets at 3169 99th Street in Urbandale or at absolutegarage.net.
Got a quick announcement to make before we bring Joe on. If you are an Android user, email me, Travis@therushrradio.com, Travis@therushrradio.com. I don't know if I can say what I'm not going to tell you. I may reach out to you, but I need you to be an Android user, okay? I might have you be part of a test for us.
Yes. Yeah.
We're moving the boat along. If you're an Android user, Travis@therushrradio.com. Let me know, and I'll reach out to you either this weekend or early next week, and we can talk more about that. But now we got a special guest. He's been waiting there for like 15 minutes. But
he's been excited to join us, man. I'm excited for this.
And I think he's drinking. Is he drinking? It's Joe Hayhoe joining us.
Yeah, no drinking this morning. You got a beverage that I want to put in a glass, so we can't give the milk away for free. We can't, advertise for free on here. I've always operated if you're not early, you're late. So,
and I like that. Ross knows that about me, right?
Yeah.
Right. I am like when we used to do the old sound off. I would show up at the station like before
he would lie
kickoff,
to me.
like 2 hours.
He would literally he'd lie to me, Joe. He'd be like, hey, what's the plan for tomorrow? And he'd go, oh, I think I'm gonna kickoff's at 11.
Yeah,
I'll be in town around maybe 9:30, 10 to make sure everything's working correctly. I said, okay, well, when you get in town, then we'll have time to meet and go get breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
So about 8:30 or so, I'd call Trav, be like, hey, where are you at? And I'd expect him to be like, oh, I'm going past
Adair.
Adair, right. Yeah. And instead he'd be like, well, I've been at the station since 7:30. I came to town. I just went and hit breakfast. And okay. See you at 11.
Yeah.
All right. What's your Coach JB story? I'm curious about this.
Yeah, that piqued my interest. So Coach JB a while ago, I'm trying to get my timeline right, but I think this was at least a couple years ago. He started a whiskey brand, and we don't need to say the name of it because fuck that guy.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But he made a splash on social media exactly how you would expect he would have. Like just a huge asshole nonstop. And like a lot of it was towards women in the whiskey scene, like big time. So
really?
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. I just looked before I got on. I don't think their account doesn't have an Instagram account anymore. Like I think we forced him off of there just by everybody in the whiskey scene on Instagram banding together and basically just sticking it to that dude. Cause that dude is a dick.
That like world class, it seems like man. Holy cow! I didn't even know about this.
And it's like, at a little bit, you're like, is this guy putting on an act? No, I don't think this guy's putting on the act. This is just who that guy is. And I didn't know him at all.
But you know what?
Stuff or anything.
You're going to hate me for this. I actually respect that a little bit. I mean, I don't like it when
he's genuinely a dick.
If you're going to be a jerk, if you're going to be a dick, be a dick. But all the time.
This is why people don't like me, because sometimes I'm a dick. And they're like, will you just either be a dick all the time or never the time? And I go, I can't. Turn it off.
Yeah, but no, he was going in hard on any woman or any chick that would like comment about, because it was, I mean, the whiskey was shit, which is expected. And people called him out on it, and he just laid into him. And then I don't know when he got off of there, but he's not on social media with that company anymore. Like the company isn't on Instagram anymore.
Wow.
You know, it's interesting you say that about the funny thing about whiskey is, let's say I drink a Basil Hayden's, right? The Basil Hayden's is probably my favorite whiskey that I just like to drink on a regular basis. Yeah. I probably wouldn't know the difference between that and a Pappy Van Winkle. I know people say, well, I think when you have good whiskey, it's good, but bad whiskey. It's really weird.
Oh.
The medium whiskey to elite whiskey, I can't tell the difference. You get a bad whiskey, you're like, oh, this is really bad. Really bad.
Yeah, I mean, you just get acclimated to it, and it's not necessarily good or bad. It's just what you enjoy is the biggest thing. And I don't care what people drink as long as they enjoy it. That's perfectly fine, as long as it's not vodka. But yeah, any whiskey is good.
Joe, you're hurting my feelings, because with my diet, all I can really drink, because I
you gotta do clear.
I can do whiskey. But if I'm sitting there just pounding like whiskey after whiskey after whiskey, I'm hammered, right? Now I do vodka sodas because there's no carbs in there. I can dilute it down a little bit. I can have 2 or 3 of those and feel okay. So it's funny you bring up the vodka. JB tried to have his whiskey, but you see like Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, all these guys are doing the vodkas. Is that just because you can produce it quicker and get it out the door quicker?
I think so. It doesn't take any talent to make vodka, I don't think, to be honest. I mean, because it's like you say, if I drink one whiskey or another whiskey, I can't tell the difference. Vodka is as vanilla as it's going to get. Like, regardless of, you can line up 10 different vodkas and people can say it's handmade or triple distilled or whatever it is, it's still going to taste like ethanol going down your throat. Whereas whiskey, you just have there's a history to it. There's time, there's effort, things along those lines that go into it. Whereas vodka, it can go from the still to the bottle the same day.
I did not know it was that quick of a turnaround. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Joe, let's introduce you to some of our folks here. So you are Trav. I know you said you have a connection in Omaha with
how
Joe.
How did we have this connection?
Yeah. So you know Jamie Simon, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So I went to high school with him in Burlington.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'd posted something on Facebook, and he said, "Hey, tell Travis to say hi. Tell Travis I said hi." Like I don't like it's, but it's a small world. It's any of that stuff. It's
very small.
It's always
here's how
7
small
degrees
the world.
of separation.
Joe says he grew up in Burlington. For a while, Joe actually lived above my aunt's bar. And we didn't know this.
My dad did.
His dad did. His dad. I'm sorry. Yeah. I like to say Joe was raised. I like to say Joe was just raised in the basement of the bar because it sounds so gritty and tough.
Better.
In Burlington, Iowa, you know
I've been in that basement too. Yeah.
How much grit that gives a life right there.
Yeah. Small world. Yeah, and I've known Luann for, since I was probably 6 or 7.
Isn't this crazy? And
maybe a little bit older than that. Probably like 8 or 9. Yeah.
So now, Joe, let's talk about where you're actually sitting right now, because this is kind of a lot of people that are listening might know you from social media, maybe, or if they don't, they will.
Sure.
You're in your house right now, but you built a speakeasy in your house.
Yeah. It 2020. The end of 2020 is when I finished it.
Now, seriously, was COVID part of how you were able to convince your wife to do this?
No, not. And everybody asks that. It's like, is that your COVID project? I'm like, no, this is just me having an idea, and I can't kick ideas out of my brain. I have to do them. I think I started it in September of 2020, and about 2 months, nights and weekends, build out a speakeasy. And then I did naturally what everybody who builds a speakeasy should do, just plaster it all over the internet, because that's the whole point of building a speakeasy.
the hidden thing.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, you see this bookshelf door? Let me show you what it opens up into, and let me give you a whole tour of the thing. Yeah.
Did you build it all yourself, or did you bring some carpenters in?
My dad came up for about a week and help me with some of the structural stuff, some of the electrical, but other than that, it was me just down here plugging away.
But you have he has full on Murphy door and everything, Trav. I mean, it's a completely, when you're in his basement, when you walk into his basement, you do not know that there's an entire speakeasy hidden down there.
Some people want a wine cellar. Some people want a speakeasy.
Yeah.
Now you have like 60,000 followers on Instagram.
Something like that. Yeah.
Sorry, are you a full-time influencer?
No. The influencing stuff, and I hate the word influencer to begin with. Like,
but you are. What else do you say? Social media guy?
I'm a fun creator. Like I just
creator.
Fun. Yeah, creator's like the new. Less
I actually like that because influencer seems arrogant.
Yeah, and I don't want to influence anybody to do shit. Like you should not use me as your outline for how you.
I ain't an athlete, lady.
Yeah. But yeah, the social media stuff is it's crazy. I'll never understand how quick stuff takes off or any of that stuff. But it's been a wild ride. It's been fun. It allowed me to do a lot of fun stuff. Murphy Door, the company that makes the doors, they came in and filmed commercials in here.
Did you get the door for free at least?
I did not. However, after that,
now he's milking them. Now he gets to milk them.
Yes. Yeah. After that, they were going to give me another door for free. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do it too? So I ran a contest.
Put it on eBay?
Yeah. I ran a contest and gave it away to somebody on Instagram so they could build a speakeasy. So that was, pay it forward.
I didn't even know that,
I
Joe. That's super cool. You posted something yesterday that piqued my interest. Can you tell us what that was? You said something about how you had to clean your oven.
Yeah.
The post was something like, who else had to clean their oven because somebody's coming to shoot a television commercial in 30 minutes or something like.
Yeah, Pep's Pizza and I are doing a collaboration pizza. If you haven't had Pep's is great. They're out of Grimes, probably one of my favorite pizzas in the Des Moines area. So they came in yesterday. They brought the pizza. We filmed just like a little, commercial for their website or for their social medias. But yeah, they were like, hey, and we're probably going to reheat it. I'm like, oh shit, I couldn't tell you last time we cleaned our oven. Probably could. October 1st, 2015, when we bought the house. So yeah, that was an adventure. I didn't.
Do people clean their ovens anymore? I mean, Ross, you show houses. Do you say don't look in the oven? Because
no, I never tell people don't look in things. I never would say that. I will tell people, be careful before you open that. Think about what your oven would look like if somebody just came over and opened that, and you wouldn't want them to look at your oven and then take that as a projection for your home.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'll tell you that the button, like the clean button on the oven, it does that. It does just that. I was super surprised. A lot of smoke rolling out of there for a while from all the Tombstone pizza cheese that had dripped down, but it works. So if you ever need to clean your oven, just push that button, wait about 3 hours, wipe it down, and you're good.
Trav, yeah. So that's there's the clean oven thing. I guess didn't even know. I wouldn't have trusted the button either, Joe. I would have been pleasantly surprised the way that you were. So yesterday, Trav came with an article that we were going to try to get to, but we never got around to it. We ran out of time. And it reminded me of you, which is one of the reasons I reached out and was like, hey, you should hop on with us, because it was, Travis, the article was top restaurants in America?
Top restaurants in America from USA
like
Today.
45 or something like that, yeah.
You saw this, Joe?
Short list, yeah, yep.
So that was one of the things you kind of... You went to Oak Park and you put a food review out there, and that thing kind of blew up and went viral as well.
Yeah. And the Peps guys said that last night. They're like, yeah, we're here with a food reviewer. I'm like, I mean, I go out to eat and I have 6 old fashions and I write a bunch of shit online. Like, if you want to consider that a food reviewer, sure, that's fine. I'm not Anthony Bourdain, so let's not get carried away.
Yeah, and Joe and I are both built like that one competitive eater gal from Omaha.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm 135 soaking wet. So.
Yeah, right. With coins in our pockets.
Yeah.
Joe and I make up about a heavyweight.
Yeah. I'd kill to be 135.
You are killing right now to be 135. Right.
Yes. But yeah, Oak Park making that list that's awesome. That's awesome.
Do you ever give bad reviews? Here's my problem with reviewers. Yep. You know, and I'm not picking on the guy, but the guy that went around 99 counties, ate a bunch of pork.
Oh yeah, the Gallivant, I think it was, or whatever.
You know. But you like you cannot humanly like everything that you go to. And I think sometimes people feel like, well, I'm here, I better say good things. I'm like, no. And I brought up Dave Portnoy last week. The reason I like Dave's pizza reviews, because if it's crap, he says it's crap. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, you may not like it, but have you ever just gone off and said, you know what? It may have nice ambience, I just didn't have a good meal.
Yeah. I usually don't, for a couple reasons. One, if I don't like it, I'm not going to post anything about it. Like you're not getting good or bad publicity. I think deep down in my heart of hearts, I'm thinking, man, I don't want to post something bad about this local company or this local restaurant, because maybe they were having a one-off night, or they only had one cook in tonight, or the waiter was, just broke up with her boyfriend, or whatever it is. So I usually won't bash anything. And that's the same with my social media stuff. I get people that reach out all the time. They're like, hey, we want to send you X, Y, or Z. Will you post a video about it? I said, you can send it to me. If I don't like it, you're not going to see anything. Like, I'm not going to lie to people, because then at that point, somebody may go in off of my recommendation and it sucks.
Yep.
And everybody's taste is a little bit different, but then they're like, well, I can't trust this guy anymore.
Yeah. Especially if it's something that you were blatant, like Travis was talking about. Bad whiskey. We've all had a whiskey where you taste it and go, oh, that's bottom shelf.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's black velvet.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I would get called out, though.
Exactly.
Everybody would be like, oh, you're so full of shit. That's not good.
Well, I mean, you do lose a lot of credibility with your love for Long John Silver's.
Do I lose credibility, or do I gain credibility, Ross?
Tomato.
That's getting back to the grassroots. If you can really get into a great Long John Silver's, the floor is going to be a little slick in there from all the grease. Everybody's screaming, usually, for some reason. And it's some of the best fish you're ever going to get.
Well,
caught 2 days earlier.
No, it's some of the best fried crust that you'll ever get with fish underneath, because you're not eating it for the fish. You're eating it for what's covering the fish.
100%. Yeah.
I don't know if they have these in Des Moines or anywhere else in Iowa, but and there's only like one in Omaha. There's a new concept for Long John Silver, like a new brand. Like down by my house, I have the old-fashioned one that looks like the sitting at the marina.
Yeah.
Out west, there's another one. We have multiple Long John Silvers, believe it or not.
We only have
like
two. It's sad.
We have this new concept. It's kind of a modern design. I'm like, I like to go into the one that had the, looks like a rundown boathouse.
It looks very rundown. Yeah. And that's my favorite one here. I've seen those. I may or may not follow Long John Silvers on social media. And yeah, they're putting out like they look nice. And I don't want to eat Long John Silvers at a nice Long John Silvers. There's nothing appealing about that.
I'm with you. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Trav, wait. So it's just a redesign of Long John Silvers. It's not
like a modernized Long John Silvers is probably the best way as far as like structurally. It looks like I kind of compare it to how Taco Bell did a rebrand, and their buildings are really nice now, and they used to be kind of just the dumpy looking buildings. That's basically the playbook they're going
the mission
with.
there. Okay,
yeah,
all right, that makes sense. I was expecting, Travis, it was like Long John Silvers Plus or Elite or Super LJS or something like that.
Hey, that's a good idea.
I'm an idea man.
And rest assured, and Joe probably seems like the type of guy that would do this. The brilliant part of Long John Silvers isn't selling the fish, the hush puppies, and their really greasy fries.
Mm-hmm.
It's taking all the crust that falls off the fish and reselling it in
the
a bag.
crunchies. Yeah,
Crunchy. You can just buy. You can just order the Crispies or the Crunchies or whatever you want to call them. And I remember that being like that. I've had few epiphanies in life, or few like moments I actually remember. I remember being in a car in high school, and one of my friends was like, "Oh yeah, and I'll take a order of Crispies." You can do that?
Wait, what is that? That's just the pieces that fall off.
It's just the crap at the bottom that everybody loves to eat.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can just order those.
Yeah. My favorite thing about Long John Silvers is they just put out an awesome product for being in a completely landlocked state. They're based out of Louisville. So they're not anywhere.
That says fish like Louisville.
No, they're nowhere you would think they would be. They're based out of Louisville. And
they part of the Yum brand?
Oh.
I don't think so. At one point I thought they were, but I don't believe so. They've got the knack to be able to go out to sea and catch only 2 sizes of fish every single time. And it's delicious. I love it. Love everything about it.
I love the way you put that. They've got a knack for it.
Before we let you go, somebody wants to know, do they sell beer at Long John Silvers? Are they selling beer?
They did for a long time. They do not anymore, because if they did, that would be my spot for sure. Lunch spot, dinner spot. I can't convince my wife to get Long John Silvers. She thinks everything tastes the same, which it does. But, yeah, I love that fish. I will tell you that right now. I love that fish. And the hush puppy. The hush puppy is the best fast food side item on any menu.
Do you have what are your Valentine's Day plans? You doing something fun, or do you? What would you recommend if guys? How about this? Since you're in a speakeasy, and I don't want you to recommend Long John's, and obviously most of us are going to go to Bruno's places anyway.
Yeah.
What about a speakeasy? Let's give the guys in Des Moines. You're going out on a date tonight. You're taking the lady out. You want to surprise her and take her someplace super cool that she's never been in Des Moines.
Yep.
What are a couple places that I'm kind of surprising you with this, so
You're
sorry.
Fine. You're good. My favorite is In Confidence, which is in the basement of Hotel Fort Des Moines.
Confidence, and do you have to have do you call Hotel Fort Des Moines and like get a reservation?
I'm telling you, it's Valentine's Day. Get a reservation.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I mean they're
Anywhere
busy.
You're going.
They're usually busy all the time. I think they're only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
You can get a seat at the bar. But if you do that, you're going to walk in and there's going to be a line of probably, depending on what time you go there, 10 to 15 people waiting to get in. But it is the swankiest, in my opinion, of speakeasies in Des Moines. It's phenomenal.
Hotel Fort Des Moines, In Confidence is the name of it. Cool. Cool. Great.
Joe,
great
real
recommendation.
quick, what's your Instagram handle? People want to know what your Instagram handle is.
The Blind Pig Basement Pub.
It's a lot.
Yes.
Did you form that before you became a social media expert?
The Blind Pig was already taken. by somebody that has one Instagram post. So I'm still working on Meta to get me that name. So we'll see if that works or not.
The Blind Pig Basement Pub.
I think if you start with the Blind Pig, it should pop up.
It'll pop up, and you'll find Joe's face. He's
Have you
around.
followed us yet? Have you followed us on Instagram?
Oh, 100%.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that's all we need to know. We have an influencer.
We're growing. We have a creator.
Creator, yes, creator. Yes.
All right, Joe. Happy
Love you,
Valentine's
buddy.
Day, buddy. Appreciate it.
You
We'll
guys.
have you back again, okay? We'll have you back. Good stuff. Joe Hayhoe joining us on the Rush Radio Show. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We'll wrap up today's show on therushradio.com, powered by Willis Automotive.
If you have a pest problem with over 20 years of experience, Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions is Central Iowa's local expert in fast, effective, eco-friendly pest solutions at a fair price for your home or business. Call us today at 515-218-3400.
Believe it or not, spring is coming. When it does, be absolutely organized with custom garage or closet systems from Absolute Garage and Closets. Turn a winter mess into a spring success at our showroom in Urbandale or visit absolutegarage.net.
Hey, I'm Mason out here at Mini of Des Moines, one of the motor advisors. Currently this month, love is in the air, and what better way than the all-electric Countryman SE. Right now, we are doing a $499 a month, $499 down lease special. One last big thing that we have this month is for the two-door hardtops, we are doing up to 60 months, 299% rate. So for more information, stop at our showroom, come see me. We're happy to get that information going, or see us on our mini website, miniofdesmoines.com.
Believe it or not, spring is coming. When it does, be absolutely organized with custom garage or closet systems from Absolute Garage and Closets. Turn a winter mess into a spring success at our showroom in Urbandale or visit absolutegarage.net.
Don't forget, you can listen to the Rush Radio Show all day long by just going to therushradio.com. Click that Listen Live tab, and guess what? The show is playing all the time. If you want to start from the very beginning, just download the replay of the show on your favorite podcast channel, and it'll be there for you. And all the other episodes are as well at therushradio.com. Look at Ross going, just dancing. You know, this actually...
It's the Trump.
You know, I'm on location. You're going to be at Willis Auto when in a week or next week?
2 weeks from today. The 28th, I think, is what we're trying to set up. That's the plan right now, and I hate to even say tentative because it's locked in. You know, I'm used to having to say, well, I have to wait for 4 bosses to tell me that it's okay, and they have to make sure everybody's got their hand in the jar.
Well, they got to make sure that they sign the agreement and pay us 50% up front.
And now it's like, hey, do you want to come out here on Friday? Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Sure, we can do that.
I'll be there. Sweet. Hey, speaking of our friends, because Joe Hayhoe, again, a guy that's very well connected in not only that whiskey world, but like Central City Liquors they've paired up with Joe before. And Central City Liquors, again, we want to remind people, today is Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Swing by Central City Liquors and don't spend money on it. Just take some Valentine trinket to Dana. Dana has always loved our show. She's always been a huge supporter of the show. And she would love it if you just dropped in and said, hey, Dana, happy Valentine's Day from the Rush guys.
Bring her a box of candy hearts. You know those like sweet tart candy hearts? Just bring, where you can write a Valentine on the back. Dear Dana, be my Valentine.
Even a little note that just says Happy V-Day Dana. And just slide it across and say, hey, this is from the guys.
Willie Farrell's chiming in. I love Willie. And he says, late 60s, Long John Silver's on Flora. I would go get Krispies every day after school. Blood pressure still jacked.
60 years later, still dealing with it. Haven't moved those things through my arteries in 60 years.
You know, Christine said earlier that we need to have Joe on a regular basis. I don't disagree. We just need to figure out what that looks like, right? I mean,
again, is he just talk? Yeah. What are we talking about with him all the time?
Yeah.
Because today it really did make sense today after we just had the thing with Oak Park, and I thought we'd spend more time kind of talking about that, but
he had the JB story. He had the Coach JB story.
He's again the dude. We could do that every week. Just have him on and BS with him.
You got big plans this weekend? You got a big Valentine's Day date tonight?
Well, dude, I do. So don't have I have plans tonight. We're gonna go. I'm gonna hang out with Courtney tonight for Valentine's Day. Tomorrow is a big day. kind of a little bit scary, nervous day. And Eli is wrestling in the district tournament tomorrow.
Ooh.
Eli's a freshman, and this is a big boy. This is big boy, big time wrestling, state of Iowa, wrestling to go to state type of stuff. So he's really excited about it. Dad's really nervous about it, and not like aspirations of some glory here. Let's get through the weekend safely.
Give me some music there, brother. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like this video. Follow us on Twitter or X at Rush Mornings. Like our Facebook page, and now follow us on Instagram. It was a fast week. We're going to be back Monday, 6 a.m. sharp, if you're in the Central Time Zone, 5 a.m. where I am now in the Mountain Time Zone. Ross, always a good week with you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.